What a privilege to be here again at the High Plains Summit, and you are a big deal. Boy, those lights are bright, man. Seriously, you are a big deal in the Relay Nation. In the last 3 years, well, first of all, you have the second most dollars raised of any division, and you do more events than anybody in the country. So, yeah. And in the last 3 years, we've all been challenged. We don't need to go into that, but you put on over 2,000 relays and raised $137 million in the last 3 years. So it's a privilege for me to be here and to say thank you for that. We have a lot to celebrate. We have the opportunity, let me back that up just a second. It didn't sync here. The opportunity to share some stories about Relay, this year's State of Relay. A little bit of chance to look back, look at some pictures, some scenes, and some stats, and kind of look ahead a little bit. And you know, we never seem to run out of ways to demonstrate that wonderful word hope that kind of permeates our relay world. But how did we do in 2011? Let's take a quick look. If we look at the numbers, okay, over $400 million for the 5th year in a row in gross revenue from Relay for Life. More than 5,000 events, and you can look at the number of people who participate. You just saw that on the video. That's more than 300,000 more people than just 3 years ago walking the track. And we did pass a milestone this year. Relay achieved, since Gordy Klatt started, passed the $4 billion mark in revenue, $1.2 billion in the last 3 years. You are part of a global movement, but you know, we had a lot of obstacles to overcome. But half of the communities and half of our regions had an increase this year in our most difficult year. How many relays look like this year that you can recall? Yeah. And how many dealt with the record numbers of tornadoes and hurricanes and droughts and wildfires and floods? And I'm not even counting the one we had last night. But you know, our friends in Iowa faced that a few years ago. This is 2007 in Grand Rapids, and they postponed, not canceled, 40 events. They ended up having one of the best increases in the entire country that year. Relay was one of the first things that came back in that community. And just a couple weeks ago in Binghamton, New York, you can see a relayer doing her thing to help her in her community. But our international friends, they've taken lessons from us about dealing with that. We had relay friends in New Zealand and Australia and Japan who dealt with weather disasters last year, and they're learning from us. We did a video to help them understand, because after Katrina, in Texas and Louisiana and Mississippi, what is one of the first things that happened in that community to bring the community back together was the relay. And certainly the folks in Galveston knew how to deal with it with that attitude. But it's not just weather-related stuff. Remember Virginia Tech a few years back, the campus shootings in which one of the 32 people who died was a team captain member and a member of the committee, but 3 days later, the administration and the campus community went ahead with their relay, and it was an inspiration for people all over the world. And in Waco, Texas, as we celebrate the 10th anniversary of 9/11, 800 people were scheduled to come to the relay. They didn't know whether to do it or not. What happened? 4,000 people showed up. It was a place to hope, to kind of cope and heal and rally the community, not just in fighting cancer, but in doing something that makes the community even a better place. So how did High Plains do this year? Look at some of your numbers, the communities, the number of people involved, the committee members, the team leaders, all those important stats that give you an indication of a great year for the High Plains. $44 million in revenue, a little bit of a decrease. You can see the per cap, the team average, the event average, all those important statistics. But of course the stories behind those are why you're here and why you're here to improve and make that even better going ahead. We'd had lots of reasons to celebrate, lots of reasons in your communities, but Florida and California in particular had $1.5 million increase last year. Bakersfield, California, in her 20th year, had 2,000 survivors and made $2 million in a big increase. Virginia Tech had another great year. Our colleges did very well. 3 high schools in Illinois raised over $400,000, having their best every year. A team from Decatur, Alabama, the Nucor Steel, raised $210,000. One team. I think that's good. The Rosebud Mining Team in Ford City, Pennsylvania, raised $407,000. One team. It helps when the company president matches it, but still, not bad. Fundraising Club was a big deal this year. We set 2 Guinness World Records, I'll show you about in a minute, and we passed another milestone, very important. There are now 12 million cancer survivors in the country. But it's what we do. It's what we do as relayers. Our mission statement in our American Cancer Society says we're nationwide, community-based, and volunteer-focused and led. And Relay really helps that happen. And part of that is because we involve, organize, and empower people. We're actually not in the event business. We're in the people business. And when we engage and mobilize those people, we mobilize communities. And when we do that well, we create and build and sustain movements like Relay. But you know, we got a long history. We didn't always look like this as the American Cancer Society. Years ago, we actually looked like this. Yeah. I know they don't look that excited, but this is the Women's Field Army of the American Cancer Society. In the 40s, they organized a community-based organization. Actually, you know, we're still living off the legacy that they started. They built chapters in communities literally all across the nation within 10 years to fight cancer. And they, as it says there, the Field Army, and this is the army that was built by these volunteers, door-to-door crusaders. This was the mainstay of the American Cancer Society for years. And a variation on that as we went along, I'm not sure when we combined Halloween and door-to-door, but somewhere along the line we did that. And it worked for a while, but about 1980, things started to go backward. Women didn't go door-to-door. They were in the workforce a lot more than they were back in these days. People didn't answer the door like they did, and, you know, things just changed. So we were in decline until, of course, this guy came along. And you know the story. And you know the story about how Relay continued from here. Fortunately, the shorts thing did not. So, but we know that story. We went from a Relay town to a Relay nation. And yes, just in case anybody ever asks you, yes, there are more Relay dots than there are Walmarts or KFC or Ace Hardware. So but what we are in the business to do, and that's why you're here as leaders, as you heard earlier today, engage and mobilize communities. How do we continue to do that? What's going to continue to distinguish us from other organizations, make people want to belong to the American Cancer Society and Relay for Life? What gives us the competitive advantage, keeps millions of people connected? What's going to sustain and drive this tremendous community presence that we have and build on our future and keep our relevance and keep people coming to us and keep the people we have? And that's really why you're here. Why we're all here is we continue to kind of find ways to make Relay, the experience of Relay, continue to grow in our country and beyond. We do have an opportunity a little bit to talk about the scenes and stories from 2011, and I always like to do this. You know, if it rains a lot, and it really rains a lot, forget the umbrella, just use this. You know, this is Natick, Massachusetts volunteers. You know, there are people who do just about anything to get in state of Relay. This guy thought he had to jump out of an airplane in Ramsey, New Jersey to get in state of Relay this year. Or you might want to do this to your car. Or this is your state capital in Kentucky. You might want to do that to get in. But you also might want to paint your car purple. That's a little extreme, I don't know. But the Kenosha, Wisconsin volunteers did that. I didn't know you could do that to a watermelon, really, seriously. Relayers are very creative. Not just a bunch of circles. It's really not. It's cupcakes. This is Barrington, Illinois. They used this as a way to kind of rebuild an event that's gone downhill a little bit over the years. But that's not all the cupcakes. There are 16,478 cupcakes there. A new Guinness World Record for cupcakes on a tower. I mean, I didn't know there was a category, but every team contributed to that. And because of the effort that they had 100 new teams and raised $300,000 more using this as kind of the catalyst to make that happen. So pretty cool. And downstate in Illinois, if you look closely, that's the first ever tractor ribbon I think I've ever seen. Dean's team out there did a tractor ribbon. It was a first-time team. They raised $81,000, so there may be a future in tractor ribbons out there. Now, this is Extreme Makeover Relay Edition. When you go from the Harley-Davidson dealer in town to Mrs. Doubtfire for $10,000, you've done a lot. You know, this is a lead turncoat from Cornville, Maine. And a lot of people may have a check that size, but I don't think they worked as hard as he did. He lost his wife and his daughter to cancer. In fact, the event in his hometown was in his daughter's honor last year. And he just felt he needed to do something, wanted to do something special, didn't have a lot to offer, not a man of any means, found someone who would give him 6 cents a can and bottle instead of the state law for return bottles for 5 cents. So that check for $12,215 represents a little over 200,000 cans and bottles that he collected over 1 year. Yeah. Now, you may have seen this one before. I had to bring it back. These are residents of the Mount Pleasant Correctional Facility in Iowa. They should be a lot happier. They raised anyone from $20,000 to $40,000 in their revenue this year. And again, we really don't know how or why, but it's okay. There was a mini relay in the Hope Lodge in New York City this year that did $40,000 in their second year. How many fans of TLC Cake Boss show? Did you see this show and the celebrities who showed up at the Hoboken, New Jersey event this year? You never know who's going to show up at a relay. Somebody said Santa and Elvis were at this relay, but I don't know. Do you see them or not? Not quite sure. And how about our friends on the Bark for Life hundreds of communities around the country are engaging their friends here. And there are 40 million households in the U.S. with a dog, so the market is huge. These are just 2 of the 520 dogs who showed up at the Pottstown, PA Bark for Life, which is where it all started a few years back. Of course, you can still spend all night on the slopes in Stowe, Vermont, skiing and at their relay that they've been doing for a number of years. But nobody went as high as these 18 cancer survivors from Iowa who can, forever claim that they had the highest relay ceremony ever. This is on the base camp of Mount Everest. So, and this will need some explanation from our friends from Oklahoma. I guess when you have a factory in town that makes women's panties, this is what you do at your event. That's all I know. So you'll have to ask them what's going on there. For years, we always talk about our divisions, but our friends in Puerto Rico do a great job. You know, 35 relays in Puerto Rico. There was $3.5 million, and they've been doing a great job. I wanted to kind of know why. They sent me these pictures, and I guess food is part of it, and it looks like they're having fun. Looks like the ceremonies are pretty good as well, and entertainment. I guess that's where Don King is these days. I'm not sure, but and survivors are a big deal to them. So if you're ever in the area, you need to check out all those wonderful events in Puerto Rico. And maybe as you're going down there, you can fly on that plane, because that's a pretty cool thing. Our friends in Delta not only did that for us, but they sent a team to support the relay in Soweto, South Africa, of their employees. And they also did 8 mini airport relays this year that raised $250,000. So they did a great job. I think Mike Daney sent me this picture. As long as we're on the airport theme, this is in Maui. Every airport should do this. I guess our friends in Maui know how to decorate the airport. You talked a little bit about cancer survivors and caregivers, and that starts at any age. And Relay is a great place for that bond to get started and for people to tell their story. Cancer stinks like my dirty diaper. Just ask my mommy. She's a survivor. Lots of different ways to tell that story, but words from a 17-year-old cancer survivor in Washington are great, too. Words cannot describe how meaningful it was for me. It's easy to feel like cancer just darkens our world and sucks all the hope out of it. But Relay is a safe and healthy place to wear our hearts on our sleeves. And fighting back for myself, my family, and everyone who had been walking all day and would continue all night. And morning came, and as dismal as it was, because it was raining, I was filled with happiness. I had made it through the night, the dark, the rain, and just as we all will make it through our battles with cancer, whether it is within ourselves or others, we will win because we will never stop fighting back. Pretty good words from a 17-year-old cancer survivor. Reminds us of our young people. We are a youth movement within Relay. 1 in 4 teams today is led by a student or a youth nationwide. So cancer will be a different word to the next generation. It's really part of our growth strategy. And many relays for elementary schools are a focus, and we literally will have a generation that will grow up with a greater exposure to our organization, to being involved in a community, doing things together as a team, some leadership, but also cancer will never be the same word for those folks. And you're going to see a lot more about this over the next day or two, about our rebranding of the repackaging of mini relay and other things, offering schools more opportunities and easier to get involved and do things and kind of, again, involve our younger people and continue their involvement with us as we go forward. But you got to talk about our college events this year. Nearly 500 campus events raised nearly $24 million. And again, an increase. Our young people are having an increase every year. Maybe us adults could learn from them. They seem to be doing it really well. This is Paint the Campus Purple in Baylor University. So they tried this Pie a Prof thing for $5 there. I don't know, how did it work? Well, let's see. I guess pretty good, because he's still smiling, right? And then there's these two sorry-looking individuals at the St. Louis University Relay, which had a great year this year as well. And if you're going to the University of Minnesota Relay the first weekend in April, outdoors in Bloomington, Minnesota, you have to wear a shirt that says "Freezing for a reason." I'm just saying. I mean, University of Georgia this year had a $100,000 increase, but they were not the only ones. So did University of Michigan and Michigan State. So three schools had over $100,000 increase this year. Now, Missouri State students and parents, I'm sure, are very proud of this picture. But they're doing it for the cause. We know they're doing it for the cause. Now, this is the other Guinness World Record. First one was the cupcakes. This is number of people spooning at one time. Texas A&M Relay. It's good to be known for something, I guess, right? Notre Dame's ticked off because they used to hold that record. Paint the Campus Purple. These guys are pretty cool, but they have a cousin that lives in Oklahoma State, too. So they got around a little bit there. This is Virginia Tech. You talk about campus events, you have to talk about Virginia Tech. There are 6,000 students down there. They raised $620,000. The largest campus event in the country. And look at the top 20 list. Look at the top 20. You see there, you see some amazing numbers of those schools. You also see WashU and St. Louis University in the top 20. I did a little research, found out there's a direct correlation between the top relay schools and the top 20 party schools. Direct correlation. So might want to check that out. You know, relay is a global movement. We are in 21 countries, 6,000 communities, 4 million relayers around the globe. You really, volunteers like you have inspired relayers in other countries to do some amazing things. And if you look at it, it looks pretty much like us. This is Luxembourg. This is Denmark. This is the UK with their mini team member thing there. They also are pretty good with their older folks as well. So they got both spectrums covered there. Yeah, they're clever. There's our friends in Australia, Portugal, Malaysia, the Netherlands, Japan, and Zambia. And let's have a shout out tonight. The first ever relay in Zambia is happening. Tonight, right now. Yep. I had a chance to go to this relay in Soweto. There were more than 100 relays in South Africa. I'll tell you what, that was the most inspiring ceremony that I've ever attended in the many years and many events I've gone to. The inclusion of their culture into the relay culture was just, it just blew you away. It was so inspirational, and they got it. And their relay program is taking off. You know, sometimes it's interesting to get a perspective from some of our friends in other countries. This is from a first-time relayer. It says, we spend our lives wondering what we are here for, and in one 24-hour period, it's hard to miss the answer that's staring you right in the face. We are all here to make the hard times on our families easier, to make the depression on our families loosen its grip, and to look a stranger in the face, and without saying a word, just nod to say we are there for you. Cancer may be a killer to many, but the many we have lost would be proud indeed to see the legacy they have left behind. That's pretty good words from a first-time relayer. So we're here. We're here not just to save lives. We're here to engage and mobilize more people. We're investing tools and resources in you today and throughout the year. We want to focus on building quality leadership and teams and create that wonderful relay experience. And when we do that, we know that revenue and participation will follow. We got a lot of proud history. We're building off the tradition that started many years ago because we want to not just save lives, we want to save more lives faster. So, my friends, we're in business to do just that, and we have the opportunity. You know, $44 million is a very respectable figure, but a few years ago, it was several $1 million higher. And we have the opportunity right here to begin the wonderful relay rebound in High Plains, because you are a leader. I told you earlier how you're standing. So what you do makes a huge difference. You've got the skills, the experience, the passion, the tools to take this relay and put it back on track. But the clock's ticking. We make the biggest move for the next season right now in the fall, when we can make the biggest difference. But you are part of a global movement. We are creating a world with more birthdays. And let's have a great year and come back and really celebrate, maybe without the waterfall in the hall lobby. But let's have a real celebration next year when we blow the lid off. Thank you very much.